What's up, everybody? So, for those watching, my name is Megan. I am the CEO and founder of Valkyrie Fitness and Nutrition. My goal is to help women first responders, healthcare workers, military members, frontline professionals really get a clear understanding on how to maintain their fitness goals with working 12-hour shifts, a busy schedule, all that fun stuff in between. That makes it really hard for us to sustain, habits and ways to stick with programs. And ultimately, what I find is most of us end up losing weight and then putting it right back on. So, what I'm going to dive into today is how to maintain weight loss, after doing a program. So, let's dive into it. So, like first and foremost, let's kind of look into some data and go over that because I tell my clients the same thing. At the end of the day, nothing really, you can't just generically kind of like point out with what is working, what isn't working, unless you have some data behind it. So for me and my team, like I'm very data driven on why people are seeing results or why they aren't seeing results so that they can actually learn and ultimately learn how to do this stuff on their own. Because what I find is like our job as coaches is to give you exactly what you need to maintain the weight loss and how to kind of learn to do this stuff on your own, right? Because what we find in most programs is, especially in the fitness space right now, like there are a million ways to lose weight fast, but what happens, right? We can't maintain it. And that's a big problem for a big population in America or just like anyone in general that's trying to drop weight, right? That's why fitness right now, like in social media, there's such large followings with like influencers and stuff like that because it's so hard to achieve, especially in these job categories that we work with, right? Like you're working plus 12 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours, 30 hours. It's pretty wild, and most coaches and stuff don't understand what it's like to be in these jobs, and that's again what we specialize in. So what I'm going to walk you guys through is kind of like the ins and outs on how we teach clients to maintain weight loss, because at the end of the day, if you, like I said, don't learn how to make this stuff be kind of blend in to your schedule, like the first sign of like something going wrong, an injury, something bad happening, right? Getting sick, something derailing your progress based off work or whatever it could be. The first thing that crumbles for most people is their fitness journey, right? Taking care of themselves. And what we find is if you don't take care of yourself, ultimately you're going to have bigger issues in the future, because a lot of us in these, and you guys, a lot of you guys in these job categories, you need your body to function, right? You guys aren't sitting, most people aren't sitting behind a computer. You're not working remotely. Like you need to be there physically to show up for your job. And if you can't, if you're not feeling good, if you're not healthy, if you can't like do the job that you signed up to do, then right, it's going to be really hard for you to like pay the bills at the end of the day. And we need, you guys can see, right? We're having a shortage right now in a lot of these jobs. So we want to make sure you guys are, taking care of yourselves, because you put everyone else first and you always put yourself last, right? It's one thing I talk about a lot with people inside, the women inside that we work with is, it's okay. You shouldn't feel selfish when it comes to your own health. So let's dive in on maintaining that weight loss, because like a lot of you and a lot of the women that step inside this program, they've been losing the same 20, 30, 40 pounds for the past 10 plus years. And our job is to break the cycle. So let's look at that data real quick. Right. So fitness adherence, like let's just look at general population, right? After a month, people that are sticking to their fitness goals, around 64% hang on, and then it drops down to 43%. And then after half the year, we're now in that 25 to 30%. And then after a year, right, we're down to like 10 to 15%. So now you can kind of see that for most people, things happen throughout the year. And I always tell people that sit down on a consultation with me is like, my number one thing is like, is there anything else coming up in the next couple weeks or months? Travel, surgery, like, moving. Because most people, we use that as an excuse. And I always tell people there's no perfect time to start your program. And this is the main thing, right? People don't know how to work around moving full time or traveling. I have military members at PCS and they're going to like new locations, deployments, people that, just have to up and move for whatever reason, or right, injuries, surgeries, things like that. Like we're pre-having a lot of people right now for surgery, so like leading up to their surgery, they've built all these really solid habits, and hopefully their recovery time is a lot shorter. at the same time, they're not walking in heavier than they already were, and the goal is to maintain that weight loss. And also too, like, we actually have a wildland firefighter in right now, and she was in it with us for a couple weeks. She had to pause because she was going to be at base camp for a while, and she came back and she's like, I've lost weight. I didn't put any on. Like, in the 2 weeks we've already been working, I've already learned a ton of stuff that helped me, like, navigate restaurant eating, stuff like that. So this is what I mean, where you guys have to make this stuff a lifestyle change, not just like, how fast can I lose this weight, because this is what happens. You can't stick with it. So key insights, right? Especially around January. Not even joking. Like, I just sat down with someone who I spoke to in January, and nothing has changed, right? Kind of circle back to the data. And 80% of them fail by February, because what happens is we put too many eggs in one basket in our fitness journey, and we can't maintain it, right? Everyone wants to do a complete 180 on how their lifestyle looks, and it's really hard to break those cycles. You have to take things one habit at a time. So general membership trends, right? 50% quit within the first 6 months. I can't tell you how many people I've sat down with and they have a gym membership and they're like, I haven't been in probably like 4 or 5 months. So, kind of building that back up and doing it in a way that's not overwhelming, because what we see in a lot of programs is you have to get to a gym 6 days a week and be in the gym for an hour and a half plus. That doesn't work for you guys. You guys have to understand that. You have to make something that's going to work between the commercial gym that you have and maybe like home equipment. So you kind of have to have an even flow. Only 20 to 30% of members visit the gym consistently year round. Again, like, I have some people, they're like, oh, I go like once, every like 3 weeks. See what I mean? Same thing with your behavioral psychology. So, like, making sure that consistency in fitness has more to do with habit forming, right? For us, and I just went over this, mindset training is a really big component in what I do inside of the program, because what we find is this, right? Most of us, we put the fitness on the back burner because we think everything else is more important. Second, most people are trying to do too many changes at once, and it's overwhelming. So every person that steps in is at a different place, and we have to meet them where they are. Coaching is a lot different than personal training. Coaching is actually giving you and telling you what to do and how to do it. Personal training, they're just telling you what to do, right? Same thing with these apps and ebooks. They're just telling you what to do. They're not giving you any education behind it. And perceived progress. What I mean by that too is, like, how are you perceiving your progress? Is it like your energy levels? Is it like, are you getting stronger? Is your clothes fitting better? Are you just relying on the scale? Because if you guys are just relying on the scale, honestly, throw it out the window. We have to do that with a lot of people because they are so heavily focused on a number. And, they're like, oh, well, I was hoping to lose like 40 pounds. But they've lost like, 3 inches off their waist. Their energy levels improve. Their brain fog's gone. They have a better relationship with food. Like, you have to stack those other wins rather than just this number that no one else knows about but you and, like, maybe your doctor. And, this number only will get you so far in your fitness journey. So don't put too much effort or, like, rely too much on one thing. When your sleep is improved, your energy improved, you can keep up with your kids, your stamina's up, like, you're stronger, you're seeing yourself perform better at work. All these other things are more important than just what this one number says. So, that as well. Again, people with structured programs and coaching are a lot more likely to stick with it. Not everyone is going to stick with it because it all starts here. Back when I started to get my fitness certifications, the one thing they talked about is this. Like, there are people that want change but aren't willing to break out of the habits that they already currently formed. So there are different parts of the pyramid where people are in their own fitness journey. Some people, they want change, but they're not willing to make that effort yet. Some people are thinking about it, but they haven't taken that step yet. Some people, they are so, they're getting to that point where they're frustrated with how they're looking, they're feeling, that they're starting to look into ways to feel better, right? Either trying programs or it's not working, whatever it has, what it might be. Some people, they're taking action, they're doing all the right things aren't working, and now they're so frustrated that they're looking for help. Some people, like, again, at the very top, they know they need help. They need a program that's going to fit, and then they step into that, and they're willing to put forth the effort. So there are different levels to things, and that's what I mean when I say coaching is it's an art in a sense, right? Everyone has different personalities. Everyone has different ways of perceiving, right, their progress. Everyone has different thoughts on what's good in like how their fitness is going and what's bad. So you also have to, jump over different personalities to show them like how well they're doing. But then you also have I call them the negative Nancy's, right? They're the people that nothing seems to be working, but they're not putting forth the effort either. You can't help those people, unfortunately. They will always be like that until like they get so sick of themselves that they're willing to put forth effort or like take advice. You can't really help those kind of people, and I try to stay away from them because I always say it's like that bad apple that comes in and then makes it seem like everything doesn't work when it's in reality. I always say like you point the finger at one person, you have three pointing back at you. And just remember that if you constantly feel like nothing works, you have to look in, like reflect in and say like, what am I not doing? Because a lot of times, and I've done this with myself too, like I get frustrated with things, but I have to ask myself most time and like look in the mirror and say, well, what am I not doing to get those results? Okay. So why do most people quit, right? Lack of time, busy schedule. This is the biggest thing I hear. And what I oftentimes hear is when I offboard people is they say, I thought I didn't have time, but like you guys showed us how to make it work, Like it worked around my schedule. I couldn't really pretend anymore that I had that excuse. So you have to learn how to make it blend into your schedule. I've worked with people inside that have, like I said, they're working 30-plus-hour days because they're getting called out. They're on call. You just have to learn how to make things fit. It's like a puzzle, and like I always tell people, like your fitness goals have to fit in there, or else other things are going to come into play. Not feeling great, getting sick all the time, not having the energy to keep up with your kids. Like I get it. We all have jobs. We all work. I work a lot of hours. Most people don't believe it, but I put a lot of time in behind the computer, and like anywhere from 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. So it's not so much like I could pretend I don't have time, but I make it fit. It's a non-negotiable. And that's a big thing too, is you have to tell yourself this is a non-negotiable with myself, even if it's just 15, 20 minutes for the day. We all kind of have that. So loss of motivation or discipline, I always say you can't rely on motivation. If you're relying on something to like kick in every day and like set your chest on fire and be like, oh, I can't wait to do this today, it's not going to always show up. You have to be disciplined in it. And that's that, like today, for instance, girl power, it's that time of the month. Did I feel like going today? No, I felt gross and blah, but I went anyway and I did what I had to do, right? That's discipline. I didn't feel motivated. Some days I don't feel like getting up and going to the gym early, but I know that like that's how I set the foundation for the rest of my day, right? Non-negotiable. Injury or pain, very common, right? We have a lot of people inside of our program right now that we are trying to work around injuries, pain, things that would normally have them quit, and we're trying to like show them that this isn't the end all be all. Yes, you have to kind of work around that stuff. I have people that have paralyzations in the past, so you have to ask yourself too, right? What am I willing to put these excuses aside and like still make the effort and build up? Like we work through mobility as well. We don't just, I always tell people, we're not here to break you down. We're here to build you up. So you have to find something that's not going to like cause more harm than good. If you guys are jumping around like for 45 minutes to an hour every time you go into a workout, and every week feels like you got into a car accident, like you're not going to be able to sustain that very long, especially as you get older. Unrealistic expectations. And what I mean by this, and I'll kind of briefly talk about like like obviously like I've gone through my own fitness journey, but I'll kind of pull this into the business side. Most people believe that they're going to step into a program and then like that's going to be the end all be all. It's going to give them everything they have ever needed. But for most people, they need a lot longer time with coaching than they expected to. And what I mean by that is, and I showed the clients this the other day, but we have such a short amount of time to work with people, to like give them the tools that they need to be successful. And for some people, it takes longer to learn than others. One, because we get in our own way. Two, we're stubborn. And three, like we're not willing to like listen or be told like you're not doing this, like what you're doing is not working. You have to like listen to us, and people don't like that. But the unrealistic expectation is like, well, how much am I going to lose? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, how willing and how consistent are you going to be? Well, can you tell me like what the average is? And I was like, well, it depends on the consistency and what you're willing to do. Okay, well, like how much can I assume that I'm going to lose? And I'm like, well, have clients lose up to 40 pounds in the time that they work with us, but I can't really give you an exact number because I don't really know where you're starting out at yet. We have to still see the data behind like where you're starting, things like that, right? A lot of people set unrealistic expectations in their fitness journey, and then when they fail, they get really upset and they believe like, they should have had better progress. But remember, to the beginning of this video, like everything comes down to data, and people don't like to be put in that box sometimes, but like it's true. Like that's how it's like basically science, right? You have to make sure like what we're seeing is working, and if it isn't working, then we change it. The problem with most people is they're not very consistent, and like we have to teach them how to build that consistency first. So we have to start with like one thing at a time. For others, they've gone through programs before, they need to get back on track, they need that accountability again, and they need something that's going to also teach them how to sustain it. So we're giving them those tools as well, right? Everyone starts at different parts. It's like, it's like someone like you wouldn't expect like a pro basketball player to not be good at basketball, right? They've done it before and been doing it for years. If I just started playing basketball yesterday, like I'm not going to hit as many threes as a pro basketball player. You see what I mean? So everyone starts at different levels. So you have to understand and meet yourself at your own level. It's the same thing when I stepped into business courses. Like I was in business courses with people who have been in business for 10 years and they're doing really, really well. But I just started or something like that years ago. And I had to give myself the expectation of just starting out. And, they always say, right, just kind of like your fitness journey, most businesses fail in the first 4 years. So, like, how scary is that, right? So, I also had to be like, how can I maintain my business? Like, things like that. And become like something that can sustain long term, right? I want to teach you guys the same thing, but in your fitness journey. Like, set expectations that are something you can stick with. Most of you guys are looking at fitness influencers and believing you can achieve that in 3 months. It's not true. These people have been working out for 20 years and that's their whole job. I'm not even kidding you, I've been in I've been in business programs with the people with 1 million followers. Like I know who these people are. They work out for 3 hours. Okay, like I'm gonna tell you straight up, they work out for 3 hours, and their whole life is timed. You guys don't have that lifestyle. You have to understand that you guys are working 12 plus hours. You're getting on call. You're exhausted. You have families. Like you know their life is completely different from your life. It's not impossible to have a great physique with that. I've seen fitness, and business owners that do and have a family, but you need to start building those habits first. You know what I mean? Meet yourself where you are. Stop getting so frustrated because you don't look like somebody else. Comparison is the thief of joy. Stop doing that to yourself. Like, only focus on the best version of you. Boredom with the routine, which is funny because honestly, I do the same thing a lot, and boring builds. I will say that, but at the same time, like there are ways to work around that. I've seen a lot of fitness programs where people are doing the same thing for a month straight. We don't do that in my program for that very reason, but we're sticking to similar movements. We're just changing things up so people don't get bored. Lack of support, accountability. This comes in twofold. One is their spouse is not on the same page as them, and I've worked with a lot of clients who have the spouse that will try to sabotage, or coworkers. Coworkers love to sabotage when you are doing really well. So the lack of support will play a role in this. You have to. And I had a client I offboarded recently, and she said her coworkers were awful to her, like telling her that like you look too skinny, this, that, and the other. Her pictures look great. We tightened everything up. She toned up. She looked awesome. But like she let that get to her too. And you can't let others get to you. You have to ignore. Remember this. If you take anything from this video, the people who say the most are the most upset about themselves, right? So like the internet trolls, I get a lot of those. Who doesn't when you're on the internet? The people who will tear you down instead of build you up, they're the ones that are gonna always dislike something about themselves, and they're just reflecting it out to someone that is doing something positive. So You can't change people. You can always change yourself. So remember that. Right? Life stressors, work, family. That's something that within these jobs you guys can never outrun. It's more so like teaching you guys how to work around the mindset, work around like how to, do better overall. And with life stressors, like I do meditations, I teach my clients, to journal. In these jobs too, like we're kind of afraid to ask for help or write things down or talk about feelings. Like you need to let things go as well. We can't change everything, but not letting it get to you, right? Talk to people, seek out help if that's another thing too. But yes, life stressors are a huge part of it at the end of the day. And why people succeed, right? Your clear goals, like having those listed out, write it out your why, put it somewhere you can see. I always have my stuff on a whiteboard in front of me. I know what I'm aiming for. I know what to do and what not to do. Accountability, a friend, a coach, group, whatever. Like there's a million Facebook groups out there. If you're not looking for a program, like find a group, find a person that's on the same page as you, create a chat with them, be like, hey, like I want someone that like is really going to be an accountability partner. Obviously we have coaches on our team that's their whole job, so that kind of helps. A structured plan, guys. If you are just going on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram and just randomly doing shit, like you're never going to see results. You need something that makes sense. So quit, like watch, if you're going to watch a structured plan YouTube video, like watch it from someone that's going to explain it from A to Z. Like don't just do some random workouts like week to week. You're not going to get anywhere. Something that's flexible and something you can sustain. So teaching you how to, like if you guys are doing any keto, intermittent fasting, Optavia, something that makes you buy supplements or whatever, or cut out food, don't do the carnivore diet, don't do that stuff. There's a lot of underlying issues that we're seeing with people who have been doing that, like straight up like losing their gallbladders, health issues, you name it, we've seen it. Stop doing things that are the next big thing. The reason that they're the next big thing is because the fitness business space wants to sell you guys something that they know will only work for a short amount of time until they come up with the next big thing, right? If you can't sustain it, it's not worth your time. It's not worth your energy. People spend upwards of $20,000 trying to do all these diets over the years. And what happens? They're losing that same 20 to 30 pounds every single time. And the same thing, I mean, GLP-1s are huge right now. Yes, they're a great tool, but like people still aren't learning how to work out and eat right. So they're losing all the weight and all the weight's coming back on, or their body composition is looking like, I hate to say the words, but skinny fat. And they have no athletic builds. They have no muscle strength. They're pulling nutrients from their bones because they're not like eating enough food. Downsides, guys. There are positives, right, if you are on the diabetic side, but if you have to understand too, like you need to learn like nutrition and fitness. You need to learn. If no one's teaching you guys this stuff, like that's another thing. Take time to learn. There's a lot of resources in the world. I always tell people, if you don't want someone to coach you, like take that time and educate yourself. You can do it. It just will take a lot longer. So progress tracking, your clothes, pictures, measurements, things like that. Habit stacking, right? Lifestyle changes. I still have drinks out. I still get margaritas. I still have tacos. This is a lifestyle for me. I'm not trying to get like bodybuilder ripped. That's not sustainable. And if that's your end goal chasing, you'll look good for 2 weeks, and then what happens? I've had bodybuilders in the family. They put weight on and they're they become overweight, I'll be honest. So it's not worth it. And people have a really bad eating disorders after that too, that they have to work through. It's not sustainable. It's not something good. You look great for a show. Cool. Sorry. It's going to be really hard for you to maintain. And community and support system, right? Have a place that's going to have your back and things like that. So, right, and end all be all, if you're looking to maintain, like the biggest thing for you is taking one thing at a time. Like even if it's just starting to walk, if it's just starting to eat better to start, if it's just picking one thing to focus on, drinking more water, start there, and then build after that habit has been formed. Build from there and kind of go forward that way. All right. So hopefully this has been helpful in terms of like where you want to go, where you want to get to. But at the end of the day, like you have to make it a lifestyle change. You can't just go for the quick fix things. So focus on one thing at a time. I always tell people take it day by day. If you think too far in advance, you're going to ruin your progress because you think that you failed. So don't set those unrealistic expectations, okay? Other than that, again, my name is Megan. I'm the CEO and founder of Valkyrie Fitness and Nutrition. We've helped, I think, over 400 or 500 women at this point inside of the program that I run. If it is something you want to learn more about, I will put a link for consultation in the YouTube description, so you can click on that. And I would look forward to talking to you, okay? So again, one day at a time. Don't rush things. It takes effort and consistency, okay?